What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Couch Potato Show. We've got a very special episode today. I'm, of course, joined again by my co-host, one half of my co-host, Frank Pederini. And today we are joined very especially by the hosts of the Washed Up Sports podcast, Evan, Max. How we doing?
What's good, man? Happy to be here.
Doing well, Tyler. Thanks for the unbelievable introduction. Glad to see what we got and get to it.
Yeah, of course. We got a big episode planned, big collab episode planned. So let's just get right into it. I'm guessing we can't leave out the Super Bowl last night. Obviously recording this on a Monday. So last night, the Super Bowl between the Bucs and the Patriots, and sorry, I'm used to saying Patriots.
So close.
Bucs, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. What a game we had. You guys want to touch on what transpired last night, because you guys know Tom Brady pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw a lot last night, at least from the Bucs, is a lot of efficiency on offense and early down efficiency, which helped them a lot. I mean, they weren't in many third down situations at all compared to the Chiefs all game. So I think that helped them tremendously, just being able to move the ball on first and second down. So they're in those, when they are in third down, they're in those short yardage situations. And I think that's what helped them win the most.
And you were watching the game, and I think, in my opinion, I know you just said early down conversions, but I think the defensive line for the Bucs was by far the most important. They got to Patrick Mahomes the entire game, and it was always like he was either throwing the ball away or he was scrambling. It was just really important for them to just get it right at him, which was the game plan for most people. So
absolutely. I mean, like, he was rattled. You could tell he was rattled from like the first quarter when they started blitzing. So yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, there was no stopping that defense. The offensive line for Kansas City really fell apart. Great job by the secondary, doubling on Tyreek Hill and not letting him get open in too much space. Travis Kelce was held to mostly short catches. So he had some catches, but just overall, really good job of containing, that two-headed monster there. Did a good job of playing the run and just getting to Pat Mahomes and making him feel the pressure to the point where no matter what, he just couldn't do anything. And it wasn't even his fault. It was just an overwhelming amount of pressure from the Buccaneers defense. And then offensively, obviously, efficiency, Max said before, best word to describe it. Wide receivers getting open. Leonard Fournette had a great game. Which
playoff Lenny.
Yeah.
Playoff Lenny.
So big one for the guy at LSU there. Probably biggest moment of his career, obviously. So
I mean, Ev, you were huge on Winfield, and he got a pick out there at the end. That was huge.
Yeah, and he hit Tyreek with the piece.
Oh yeah, bro. I can't believe they threw a flag for that, bro. After the disrespect Tyreek Hill has the entire year to everybody, like, come on.
Yeah, I agree, man. Why are you throwing a flag on that?
They were so soft all night long. I mean,
it was soft. Yeah.
The calls that the Chiefs were getting, I mean, some of the pass interference calls were, they made sense, but some of them were like uncatchable balls by like 10 yards.
I think it was Mike Evans on that one on the sideline. He was like 15 yards out.
And that was the one that I really didn't like. But in all fairness, we obviously, like, the amount of slander that NFL referees get is just insane. And in real time, like it feels like he got tackled from behind. Like in real time, yeah. I bet it's really hard to see that. So like, am I going to complain? Sure, but I mean, it's hard. It's not an easy job.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. The one I was honestly, and this come from like a diehard Tom Brady fan, the one that I was pissed off the most about was when they flagged Tyrann Mathieu. Like, I thought that Tom should have gotten the flag on that because Tom was the one that chased out.
Sportsmanlike, yeah.
That's why I didn't respond to you this morning, Ev, because I think Tom was in the wrong in that. Like, no, I feel like Tyrone was good.
Fuck that guy.
Get out of here, bro. He's one of the best safeties in the league.
Yeah, if you talk to our other co-host Eric, he's always preaching the rigging of the NFL, and he talks about it for days on end. He could, but in this game, it was kind of like in my opinion, the refs played a role obviously, but that game was over because that defense just didn't let Mahomes out at all, and he couldn't get anything. And I even was texting our group chat that we have, like the Chiefs receivers like were just dropping every ball that came to him. They had like 3 balls at him in the face mask, and they just bounced right off their faces, and it was just like wasn't their night.
The fact
refs weren't the reason that the Chiefs didn't score.
No,
the Chiefs' offensive line last night was depleted as shit. Everyone was hurt. Mike Remmers played like dog crap. I mean, he was barely trying. You watch replays out there, and he's just like, and just lets the defense.
he made one double move, and then he just let the guys by, and it was just
he wasn't doing anything. I think I saw a stat. It was like Patrick Mahomes scrambled for 500 yards last night.
Yeah, it was like
a new record.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like before he threw the ball. Yeah, I think I saw that too. Like before he threw the ball, he scrambled for like 500 something yards.
Yeah, it was insane, which is something unheard of. First of all, because it's never happened before, that many yards. And second of all, you can't let that happen. I mean, Andy Reid has been preparing for this game for 2 weeks, knowing that they're not going to be fully healthy on the offensive line, and this is what you do. Like that was awful execution by the head coaching job there.
That was the worst they've been beat since Mahomes came into the league.
Yeah.
That's the worst they've been beat since they played the Patriots in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game a couple of years ago.
Listen, I think that's only the second time that Mahomes lost by like double digits in his NFL career or something like that.
It was the only time he looked like out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's like obviously he's lost games before, and that Patriots game is one. But even in that game, he looked like a star that he is. Like in that Super Bowl last night, it was just like that was not him.
Yeah, he looked hurt too.
Yeah.
Well, he had that turf toe going, and he had the concussion a couple weeks ago. And a lot of people don't know that turf toe could get really bad. Like that. Hurts, dude.
I mean, I heard, I've never had it, but I heard turf toe could just like if you continue to play on it and not do anything,
destroys you.
It eventually could just turn into a broken toe.
Yeah.
Like, and then you just are playing with a broken toe, and you just got to let that heal at some point.
It's awful.
That sounds so painful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't doubt Mahomes will get back there sooner than later.
Yeah, that's what I told everyone. They were like, "Oh, well, what about Mahomes down?" I'm like, guys, he'll be here at least another like 3 or 4 times. Like he'll be fine. It's not a big deal.
So Brady gets his 7th. Anything else?
They should name the MVP after him. Or something like the MVP or like
classic Pats fan over here.
No, like something because like.
Well, in my opinion, you shouldn't even have won it last night. But that's a whole different thing.
Oh, I agree. I think one of the
definitely should. One of those defensive linemen should have won it.
100%. I think like Shaq Barrett could have won it.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett, JPP, who plays better with 8 fingers than he does 10.
Absolutely.
I would have given it to Gronk.
You could have given it to Gronk as well.
Yeah. Devin White.
Devin White's an option.
Yeah.
I think they just gave it to Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's no outstanding performance by anybody else on the field, it just automatically goes to the quarterback. Which I was on NFL.com last night, like voting, because I got bored watching the game because it sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
I went online, and the way the voting is set up, it loads one at a time. So what they do is they tell you, okay, go vote at this website, and then you go to like the link to vote. And it comes up one position at a time. So Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady were like the first tier. And then every single tier after that would take about 10 minutes to load.
Oh, so they just get people by just like not.
If you're waiting for that long, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna vote for Tom Brady because I'm not gonna wait to see. I'm not gonna wait to vote for Gronk if he's not gonna win. So I have to sit here on my phone for like 10 minutes. So I don't know. Kind of rigged in that way, in my opinion.
So that's a wrap on the Super Bowl. Segueing into our next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about some NBA. I think we wanted to start off talking about the AllStar Game since there's been some recent talk about that in current events and everything. So I'll just get us started on this a little bit. So a lot of players, I know De'Aaron Fox, one of them, Giannis Antetokounmpo, both said they think the All-Star Game this year is stupid. LeBron too, shouldn't happen. Obviously, it's at this point, I think it's just like a money sham, and I think it's reckless during coronavirus to risk that, and just I think it's stupid, and don't really think we need an All-Star game. I don't really care about the All-Star game, but anybody else has a different opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know we're gonna, just for the sake of it, talk about our starting fives for the East, and the couch potato guys are gonna do the East, and Max and I are gonna do the West. Anybody else on the All-Star game?
I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head. I think it's pointless. I know I like watching the All-Star game personally, but during all this coronavirus pandemic stuff, it's just really not worth it, in my opinion. So
I agree there. And then on another topic, like it's also not like the All-Star game is how it was 10 years ago, where it was like super competitive and like people like actually tried super, super, super hard. And like,
although last year's All-Star game was like one of the best of all time. So if they kept that
I'll give you that. But like that was like the first time.
Yeah, that's the first
our
time
generation
in my
that it
memory
actually
that
looked like they cared.
Yeah, and that was just because of like Kobe and Gianna, all that stuff. Which I hope they continue playing that competitive because it was so much fun to watch. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say it'd be a different story had it been like they're going super hard at the All-Star game as usual, but like they usually aren't. At least what we've seen.
And not only that, but let's take the Lakers for example, because they're gonna have, if we do have an All-Star game, they're gonna have 2 All-Stars in Anthony Davis and LeBron. They just finished playing the NBA Finals not too long ago. They had how long of an off season? And then you're going straight into the regular season in the NBA. You're doing conditioning and all this, barely any off season. And then you can't even give the players 5 days off. I mean, you have to have an All-Star game, really? Like, just give them the week off. Do like, I don't know, do like a Rising Stars challenge or something. Like, have the rookies and the sophomores go up against each other. Do something like that.
Or do what the NFL does. Have them play like 2K against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, do something stupid.
Yeah.
Anything, but like don't have
All-Star matchup. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't have an All-Star game, because then you have players practicing like 3 days beforehand and then having to do media all day, and then you have
Corona testing
every single day. Yeah. And then you have to go into the game and do the entire game. And then there's all the other stuff that goes into it. But it's pointless. It's just a money grab deal, which is the last thing the NBA needs.
And the last thing NBA fans want, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I'm an NBA fan. I think we all are. And then I think I could speak for most of our listeners too. When as a fan, you can tell something isn't genuine and you could tell it's just a money grab and that they don't really give a fuck. It turns you off most as a fan. Yeah, the Pro Bowl. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl since like 2005.
Damn,
the first time I watched
the Pro Bowl.
Like,
I watched it maybe once and I was like, all right, this is the most pointless thing in my entire life. So I never watched it.
It's disingenuous. So like, why would you watch it?
Yeah.
What I was thinking kind of too is like, these guys don't really get to see their families that often. So let them see their families. First of all, you can't.
Yeah, just go home for a week, It's not a big deal.
On top of that, if somebody catches COVID at this All-Star game, like that's a media nightmare.
Yeah.
Media nightmare. Yeah. And then that directly impacts the season when usually you don't want the All-Star game to impact the season at all.
And not only that, it would affect every team that has an All-Star, which is most teams.
Exactly.
True. So, and apparently if you're healthy and you decide not to play, it's like a $50,000 fine.
Yeah, it's they fine you for it. It's ridiculous.
That's nothing though. Like,
yeah, but
for them it's nothing. Yeah,
that's
for
not
them.
right,
That's like 5,000.
I mean, for some of the guys, it's a drop in the bucket. Like LeBron, it's a drop in the bucket for LeBron. But I mean, if you're a rookie,
like Trae Young said, that's a lot of money to Trae Young because he's still on a rookie deal.
Or like a Luka Doncic, who's still on their rookie deal and doesn't they're not getting paid right now. Like, not dropping $50,000 to waste on like not playing in an All-Star game. I'll have to just go to the All-Star game, put my body through that, and then.
I know $50,000 to these guys is like change, but at the end of the day, it's their money and they shouldn't be going back to the NBA because they don't want to put themselves at risk.
No, absolutely. I agree. I was just saying it's nothing. I agree with all of you. I agree that it's bullshit. They shouldn't be doing it. But I was just saying 50,000.
Yeah, it's something stupid like that. I've seen it before.
50,000 to LeBron is like a pair of shoes.
Well, that guy makes it in like one quarter, probably.
Exactly.
Every shot he takes.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So said Tyler, Frank, Couch Potato, you guys want to get us started with who your starting five is for the Eastern Conference?
Go ahead, Frank. You do You do 1, 3, 5. I'll do 2, 2, and 4. Switch off.
1, 3, 5. All right, we're gonna start with Kyrie, point guard for the Nets. The guy's crafty, one of the top 5 ball handler of all time, in my opinion. You guys can have other opinions, but that's just
I agree. I like that. I like that take.
Yeah, there's probably Steph, AI. I don't probably Kyrie's probably 3. And then at the 3, small forward. Or you want to go first, Ty? You do
I'll,
too.
I'll go shooting guard. Shooting guard. There's a couple of players that you could put at this position, but personally, I think Bradley Beal deserves to be here the most. Just all he's done for that organization and how far, like they've been playing pretty well this year, not extremely well, but it seems like every single night Bradley Beal puts up like some absurd stat line, and then you see, but they lost. And like the most points put up by, or like the big, like whatever stat it is, like the most this or that put up by a player in a loss. Like Bradley Beal has gone absolutely off for the Wizards this year. Deserves to be an all-star after all these years of getting snubbed. So definitely put Bradley Beal in my starting lineup.
And at the 3, no discussion here. We're going to go with Kevin Durant. The guy looks even better than he did coming off a torn Achilles. And I was one of the guys we made picks for MVP, and Tyler picked him. And I was like, I don't think he's going to look that good. But he proved us all wrong. He's built different. That man built different. He's probably arguably a top 5 player in the NBA right now, probably top 3. It's not even close. There's no one else that I would even put here. So we're going to Kevin Durant.
Breaking news: Yadier Molina has signed a 1-year contract with the Cardinals. Just to sidebar that.
That's like the news that Brett Gardner's going to sign back with the Yankees. Kind of pointless.
Anyway, power forward in the East have to go Giannis. Not real any competition here at the 4 spot. One of the most dominant players in the NBA. Not really much else to say that people don't know already. So who you got at center?
At center, we're going to go Joel Embiid. This guy's probably a top 2 MVP candidate right now. The Sixers are finally doing it. I knew that you can have him at 1. There's other options. I probably have Luka at 1 personally. That's just my opinion. The Sixers are finally doing it after all these years. We said, the Sixers got to be good at some point, and they're the 1 seed right now, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully they can break through this year. So we're going to go Joel Embiid.
Trust the
guys
process.
got the West.
Yeah, great picks, guys. I don't think I'd argue with you guys on any of those. I was pretty good. But so I'm gonna go 1, 3, 5. Max is gonna give you guys 2 and 4. So for your Western Conference All-Stars, at the 1, I have Steph Curry, the everything for the Warriors this year, kind of just carrying the team on his back, putting up big performances. So, he's everything that team is. So I got Steph there. So Max, who you got at the 2?
Yeah, Steph also greatest shooter of all time. That's another discussion. But
yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. I don't know how else you put there.
Yeah, I mean Ray Allen's right there, but I feel like he's
about to pass him in like 2/3 the amount of games. It's like ridiculous.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah. But at 2, we got, Frank mentioned him earlier, Luka Doncic. He's just balling this year and absolutely tearing apart the NBA. And I mean, for last season, he looked phenomenal, and he just looks even better this year. So it was kind of hard to not put him at 2.
Yeah, I know he's a point guard, obviously, but like you can't not have Luka in the starting 5 of an All-Star.
You can't have Steph, and you can't not have Steph, and you can't not have Luka. So
exactly, so it'll work. I mean, those 2 on the court, that'll work plenty. But yeah, obviously Luka, one of the youngest rising stars in the league, the future face of the league, I'd say.
Yeah.
Over at the 3, we have the man himself, LeBron James. No argument there, really. Obviously, that kind of went without, everybody would have guessed that. So then Max, over to you with the 4.
The 4, this one is almost the same as that one. Out of LA, you got Anthony Davis at the 4.
Oh, yeah.
Power forward. I mean, like, there is no other option at power forward, in my opinion, right now. He's just too dominant.
Definitely. Is there an argument to be made to put Paul George at the 4?
He's like missed a little time, and like, I don't know. Paul George the Paul George slander is unreal these days.
We've been over that, yeah.
I have him on my fantasy team, and the shit people say about him is disgusting, and I just hate that. So I'm with you with Paul George, but I don't think that is an option for this starting 5.
The Paul George slander stems from his terrible playoffs. And that's only with the Clippers too. Like back when he was in Indiana, that guy was a killer in the playoffs.
He was
Yeah,
leading.
people
He had
talk
ice in
about
his
him.
veins.
Yeah, killer.
Pandemic P.
Yeah.
I still remember that dunk he had against Ryan Anderson against the Heat. I think was I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He used to go at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clippers is a whole nother mess and story that we could get
No,
to.
well, that's
another
all
time.
different shit stuff.
But,
Another podcast.
Yeah, we can start a podcast talking about the Clippers. So at the center, we have Nikola Jokic.
The
And
Joker.
I think this is pretty obvious as well. I love Nikola Jokic. Just like he has the skill set of a point guard at the center position, and it's just crazy the way he passes, scores, and plays defense. It's just unbelievable. Obviously, everybody knows that. So I'm kind of just repeating what everybody knows there. But Nikola Jokic is just like unbelievable big man, and his game has so many different dimensions that I love. So got to put him there. So that is the All-Star team
Out of the West.
brought to you by yours truly, the Couch Potato Show. Absolutely. So, Tyler, Frank, you guys want to bring us into the next thing, Tyler?
Yeah. So there's not really much else to talk about in the world of the NBA. So this weekend we probably had one of the biggest events of the year in the golf world. I'd say, in my opinion, the biggest non-major that the PGA Tour holds, and that is the Waste Management Open in Phoenix.
Absolutely.
Personally, a bucket list tournament to go to if I had to pick one. Maybe more than the Masters. But yeah, one hell of a tournament that we had. Max, I know you watched it. I watched it as much as possible, but I mean, we had some guys in there that in contention on Sunday that were not projected to even be close in the leaderboard. What'd you think about how those guys played?
Absolutely. I mean, like, just touching on your first point, yeah, I think the Waste Management Open, that's up there with, like, for golf fans, like, that's a place that people want to see before, like, yeah, it's up there. That, Pebble Beach, the Masters at Augusta, like, those are up there. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. It was a great weekend of golf, honestly. I feel like when you get these weekends where you have the guys that you're not expecting, along with maybe one or two guys that you're expecting, like your Brooks or your Schauffele's or your, let's see, I think Rory was in it a little bit this weekend. When you have a good mix of that, I feel like it makes for a great weekend of golf because you really have no fucking clue what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, and I was watching on Sunday, and I believe Brooks was in a grouping with Steve Stricker. And I was just watching because they had Stricker on TV for like a couple holes straight because he was making a run towards the end. And then I believe it was the 17th hole. Stricker pulls out like a 4-iron to hit a shot. And no, I'm sorry. Brooks pulls out a 4-iron to hit a shot. And we're like, all right, that makes sense. I mean, it's a 4-iron kind of shot. And then it's the same shot, and Steve Stricker pulls out like a driver and hits it maybe 5 yards past Koepka's ball. I'm like, wait, so like he can hit a 4, like that's just unreal. And then Brooks Koepka went on to eagle that hole on an insane chip putt, and then went on to win the tournament, obviously. But yeah, the guys like Jordan Spieth, finally in contention in another tournament. Steve Stricker was up there. Just that group of guys that you don't really see at the top of the boards very often anymore, that you miss seeing up there, really made it for a good tournament. And then of course you had your Schauffele's, your Koepkas, your DJs, Rorys, JTs, and just a great all-around tournament. Really would have wished they had a full packed house at the 16th hole at the stadium hole, but
that would have been sick. But
they made the most of it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, just going off your point about Brooks, I mean, seeing him hit the ball, him and like probably Rom and JT, just the way they stroke the ball and like the power that they have is just ridiculous. Like, and seeing how far they could pull it. It's something else. The reason I don't bring up DeChambeau is because his is like more unorganic, meaning he's like trying to do that. Like he's purposely trying to beef up and changing his swing. But these other guys that just naturally have this like strong ass swing, they can stroke the ball. I find that so impressive.
By the way, Bryson DeChambeau, fantastic Super Bowl commercial.
I thought that was good too.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the commercials. I forgot we didn't talk about it.
Yeah. But with that, me and Max will shut up. Ev, Frank, I believe you guys we'll segue into college basketball, the big college basketball guys. You guys tag teamed on a little ranking you guys have.
We did. It was tough. Right, Evan? A lot of teams lost this week. There was a lot of shuffling to do. Wisconsin lost a game. Ohio State moved up a lot. It was tough.
Yeah, an unprecedented week in college basketball for sure, Frank. Villanova with a loss. Iowa keeps getting beat. Couple other teams in there. Houston we saw lose, which is out of the blue. So lot of from last week's rankings. I know we had a lot of work to do, and it was great to come together and put together a top 25 that I know we're both proud of.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of. We were sitting there before we started, and we were just like, who do we even move around? Because as you said, Houston lost. Illinois played a good game. Villanova lost to St. John's, who's arguably a really underrated team. It was tough. Who would you say is probably the biggest threat in the Big Ten? Because I know we talked a lot about the Big Ten. A lot of Big Ten teams in the tournament this year. So who do you got?
So Frank and I, before I get into this, we were talking, and we both agree that the Big Ten is the most competitive league in the country, and that goes without being said. So we gave a little more leeway to our Big Ten teams because of the difficulty of their schedules. So best team in the Big Ten. Me personally, I'm thinking right now, if things continue after their COVID, their whole COVID thing, Michigan's in a tier of their own, but then you got Illinois right there and then Iowa. So I like Illinois second. I know, Rutgers beat them, just saying, but as of late, they have been playing really good basketball. And I think that's such a deep team between, obviously the stars are Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn, but the guys who don't get as much praise with Trent Frazier, Andre Curbelo, Georgi Bajanishvili, I think that's a deep team and a team that could do damage in March. What about you, Frank?
I like Illinois a lot. Obviously, I picked them on our show for the Big Ten title. But I think Iowa is just not playing well right now, but that schedule is really tough. They got the player of the year undisputed right now, Luka Garza. They have shooters everywhere. They're a tough team. I think they can easily make a run in the Big Ten tournament. I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten because it's a little bit too late for them now, and there's a couple teams ahead of them. But come Big Ten tournament time, I think they can really make a run, and they'll be tough in March for sure. So they're going to be
really tough loss for them against Ohio State in that last game. I know
Ohio State. We didn't even mention Ohio State, who's number 4 in the national ranking this week.
So Ohio State's been playing their best basketball of the season by far. But Iowa's next game, they have Rutgers on Wednesday actually, so that's a big game for both teams in Iowa. So that's going to be a huge game.
Huge game for Rutgers is for sure.
Yeah, looking to pick up a massive road win that could really solidify them into the tournament if they win that game. So anybody else you want to talk about? Let's talk about a couple of the other conferences. I know we wanted to go about the other Power Fives. We could talk a little bit. We could go to the SEC next if you're cool with that.
I'm cool with that. I like Tennessee. I know Tyler's Tide is playing really well. They just lost to Missouri. Well, they didn't play well the other night, but recently they lost against Missouri. But you got to remember, Tyler, they're down 20 in that game, and they made it a game. So you can't be too upset about it.
We did make it a game. I don't know how.
I didn't watch it, so I couldn't tell you.
We were down 22 with like 5 minutes left, and then made it a 1-point game with a minute left. It was absurd. Yeah. I think Missouri honestly just stopped trying. Like, it's nothing we did differently. We were still playing like dog shit. Missouri just stopped trying. But yeah.
When Missouri's on their game, they're actually really good. I like Missouri.
They are really good. Yeah. And probably the ugliest 30, it wasn't 40, I'd say 30 minutes of basketball I've seen in a very long time out of Alabama. And this is me being unbiased. I don't think that they're worthy of a top 20 ranking right now, honestly.
Wow. Hot take from Tyler.
Yeah.
Even that's, I don't know. Even me, like I don't give Alabama credit at all because I have to hear Tyler talk about it. But I still think they're a top 15 team.
Yeah, they need to
Even
lose
after one
They
game.
need to lose a couple more for me to not say that they're top 20.
Yeah, like you guys, Tyler knows especially, like my one game rule where like the AP poll does this all the time, where a team wins one game and they skyrocket them in the rankings. Like when I make mine, I don't really do that. And it's the same thing when they lose. Like we didn't like plummet Alabama because they lost one game. But
right, and like when we care about the strength of schedule because it depends who you lose to, and it happens. You get upset in college basketball. That happens all the time. That's normal. So you have to give a little bit of leeway with one game with just like absolutely throwing teams down the rankings. I don't think that's right. We both seem to agree about that. But yeah, with the SEC, I think it's really Tennessee, Missouri, and Alabama are in a tier their own, and then everyone else sucks.
Yeah, the bottom half of the SEC is just not great.
Yeah, and it's crazy because this is a year where we're not seeing teams that we're accustomed to being amazing are amazing. Kansas isn't amazing. UNC is not amazing. Duke's not amazing. Kentucky's not amazing. They all are.
Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State probably aren't making the tournament.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I saw a stat. It was like the top 13 teams in college basketball ranked all-time wins. So the all-time winningest 13 college basketball teams haven't been ranked at all this season in the top 25.
Wonder who it is. It's probably well, you consider
it's exactly who you would guess. Your Dukes, North Carolinas, Indiana, Michigan States.
Yeah,
those teams.
And even teams that aren't ranked right now, like teams like Kansas, I would say, like that the Big 12 is like ridiculously good. So I don't think you can. Like I know they've lost. I think it's like what 5 of 10 games or something like that. I don't know exactly, but even if they lose a bunch of games, that conference is so good that you can't really just like doubt Kansas going into March Madness or even going into their conference tournament. They could easily make a run.
I agree.
And same thing with Texas too. They just lost a game against Oklahoma State, who I was on earlier. Not a lot of people were, but I was on them before. And even them, their defense is just too good with Greg Brown to not be scared of them come conference tournament or March.
I can't agree more. Frank, you want to take us through a little? I know you're the Seton Hall guy. You want to take us through a Big East rundown?
I'd just like to point out first that when Evan led off this segment, he said Power 5 and not Power 6.
We're not having this argument again.
Power 5.
Whatever. Power 6 is the thing. Respect it. Respect the drip. So the Big East is it's tough, man. There's a lot of good teams in the Big East. You got Villanova, of course, who I think is overrated because my Pirates almost beat them by 2 points they lost, and they've played consistently close games against teams they really should be playing close games against. Creighton is another example. They've won a lot of close games that they easily could have lost. Pirates being one of them. Marquette, they just lost to Georgetown, so that was a good game for them. Xavier's in third right now. They've only played 6 conference games, which is kind of you can't really do anything about that. And then you got the Pirates. Marquette is a good team. They play well on the road. Don't win a lot of games at home that they should, but the Big East is really close. It's just like every other conference. I see Villanova winning it. I see Creighton finishing second, and then I see my Pirates finishing third, finishing out the year strong.
Gotcha. I mean, you'll be happy to hear from me. I do consider it Power 5 because that's always what it's been in football. But like, I do think the Big East is probably, I don't know, tell me if you think this is a hot take or a cold take, but I think that the Big East is probably better than the Pac-12 this year.
Yeah.
Like, and like the SEC, they'd even give the SEC a run.
I think top to bottom, the Big East is better than the SEC. Top to bottom.
Yeah, this year probably.
Last year, even last year, Big East was top 2 or 3 conference last year.
Yeah, so I mean, I just don't call it. It's Power 5 because that's just what it's always been between football and basketball, and then everything else is a mid-major. But
the disrespect of the Big East has to stop, especially from Tyler over here. The disrespect is ridiculous.
Listen, I'm not disrespecting the Big East. I've been to several Big East basketball games.
Because I've taken you to games.
Yeah, they're extremely fun. I'm not downgrading the quality of basketball. I'm just saying that the words Power 6 never existed until
they do exist. I heard it on Fox Sports watching the game yesterday.
You heard them when you were watching what game?
The Big East game. What else were they talking about?
Yeah, there you go.
It was Steve Lavin.
Frank, this is like saying this is like saying if Seton Hall. I'm just using Seton Hall as an example, but let's say Seton Hall.
Football team?
I'm just using Seton Hall as an example, but let's say Seton Hall in the net rankings, because net rankings does more than top 25. Let's say Seton Hall was
48.
ranked 26.
Okay.
They would be the only team recognizing the fact that that there's a ranking past 25. Like no one cares.
I don't think that's true.
No one's gonna give you any credit
Frank,
for it.
also the Big East doesn't have football, so
We're not talking about football.
yeah, but it still counts for the Power Five saying.
I know. I'm just saying that, the Power 5 conferences.
Villanova is a D1 AA team in football.
The Power 5 conference is a myth. It's a myth. It's for teams that make more money. That's all it is.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I just don't think – I think you need football in order to be considered a Power 5 school.
That's not – well, if we're talking basketball, I think they're right up there.
It would be like saying
They are right there.
It would be like saying there's a Power 6 in hockey because the Ivy League should be the 6th conference. Like it's one sport.
That means absolutely nothing to me. I don't watch an ounce of college hockey.
I'm just saying.
Should. It's fantastic. You really should. It's fucking fantastic.
I know Quinnipiac's good. That's all I know.
All right.
One sport. No one cares.
BU is really good this year, right?
What is that?
Isn't BU really good?
BU is always pretty good. I think.
Very little. Are we talking about college hockey or college basketball?
Yeah,
College
I don't know
hockey.
why we just got off to
Not
college.
basketball. Basketball, they don't. I couldn't even tell you.
College hockey, like they're very not playing. Like they're not playing much this year.
Because of COVID?
Yeah, because of COVID. I mean, and it's like not as much of a money grabber. So
Alabama
like,
just got rid of their college hockey team.
I've always been a Frozen Four guy. Not gonna lie, that's awesome.
The
I love
Frozen
the
Four is
Frozen.
lit.
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, it's usually some Minnesota teams and then maybe North or South Dakota up there with
maybe like a Denver. I don't know.
No, it's like it's like Minnesota, like North or South.
Minnesota Duluth is fantastic.
Yeah, and then there's like BU, Quinnipiac, and then the occasional fucking
Boston
Alaska,
College.
Montana.
UVM used to be good, not so much anymore.
I can't believe we just got into the Frozen
Dude,
Four.
I'm happy we did
I
it.
haven't watched a single game of college hockey in my entire life.
You
Fair
really
enough.
should, bro. I've been to the Bean Pot, which is like that's
What's
where BU, UMass, Lowell,
Boston College is
UMass
probably over there.
Amster, and then like Boston College and maybe one or two other schools. It's like a Boston college hockey tournament.
Yeah, like Northwestern's
So
over there
sick
too.
to see. Yeah, it's
Where is
so
that?
sick to
Do they
see.
have that at TD Garden?
Yeah, at either TD Garden or at the schools around the city.
Ah, the Bean Pot.
Yeah, that's what it's called, the Bean Pot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really dope.
Oh, Jesus.
So
We got off track as
getting
fuck.
Oh, it's
back
not on
to
the-
basketball. Getting away from the Bean Pot and back to college basketball. Frank, do we have anything else when it comes to the college basketball, or are you good with the Big East? Or do you have anything else for the listeners?
I would probably say the Pac-12 is pretty interesting to watch because you got Oregon there, you got UCLA, and then of course you got USC who just got ranked. So that should also be another good conference. There's just a lot of good conferences this year. It's kind of all over the place, which is why it makes it fun. So
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. I'm really disappointed. Just ending off just a little bit of Pac-12. I was really hopeful about Arizona State this year, and they really just like disappointed.
dude, don't even get me started, bro. We pick them for our show for our pick 'em, like the winner. I picked Arizona State. They're in like 8th right
Johnny
now.
Martin and Josh Christopher was supposed to be this like unbelievable duo.
I know. I was firmly on the Sun Devils train, and they just disappointed me completely.
No, fuck Bobby Hurley.
Fair enough.
That's all.
So
And
that is the word from Frank and I. We will have a graphic going for all the listeners so you can see our complete top 25 and 5 bubble teams as well. So that's exciting. So segueing into our next thing, the Couch Potato guys have a segment that they do on their show.
Why don't you let him introduce it?
Tyler, yeah, I was gonna say Frank or Tyler. You
Yeah,
guys
so-
can do that.
We not every week. We have a new episode every week, but usually we try to do it once a month. Do a big deal, no big deal segment, and basically I'll just spit out a topic and that's going on in the sports world, big headline or something, and just see what the reactions are from the boys. So I'll run through. I got 3 or 4 that we can talk about. One that I think is gonna stir the pot a little. But I'll talk about let's start off with Patrick Mahomes losing big time. Is this big deal or no big deal that Patrick Mahomes was exposed the fuck out of on Sunday night?
I'll go first. I think that's no big deal whatsoever. I still think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and they'll just have to go back next year, figure out what didn't work, and like we said before, the offensive line and maybe some of the receivers working on their hands a little bit.
Dude, so frustrating.
But I think that's a no big deal. I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Max. That's no big deal. He's gonna be, like I said before, he's gonna be at least 3 or 4 more probably in our lifetimes in his career. And it's not a big deal because it wasn't his fault, in all honesty. Like Max just said, it's the offensive line. His receivers didn't play well, and that Bucs defense was just unstoppable. There's really nothing he can do. No matter how he played, I don't think they're gonna win that game. So it's no big deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go no big deal as well. I literally had what Frank just said planned and ready to fire.
My bad, bro. Bro, it's because we're so smart. Like,
exactly. It was not about Mahomes. He's still the best quarterback in the league. It was more about the offensive line failing and the Buccaneers defense playing amazing. Shout out to Todd Bowles for a great game plan.
Isn't that great? The New York Jets get rid of Todd Bowles.
Dude, they straight up show this man on the screen, and out loud I go, that man got another job? I didn't even know. Ridiculous. I like Selly though. That could be good for him.
Yeah. All right. So second up, before I get into this, I have a quick stat for you guys that I saw the other day that is absolutely fucking absurd. A couple days ago, Tim Hardaway Jr., I forget exactly how many field goals it was, but he attempted a number of field goals in a game, in a loss, and missed every single one. He set a record for most shots attempted in a game without a made shot.
Was it more than 10?
It was.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Probably, I want to say 7.
Frank, I'd like to know this number before I give my take.
I would like to think let's say it's 17.
17.
It was like 17, 18-ish.
17.
You went over 17 from the field.
17. Would you guys like to guess who held that record before him? Frank?
Kobe.
I know the answer, so I won't comment. I actually know the answer.
It was Tim Hardaway Sr.
Oh,
that's trippy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. Wow, that is a great tidbit, Tyler.
Yeah. But anyway, the big deal and no big deal thing that I have, the Mavericks suck, and they have no excuse. I mean, Luka's fully healthy. Kristaps is fully healthy. The entire roster is fully healthy. They were a playoff team last year, and they suck. Is this big deal or no big deal? Time to worry about the Mavericks?
I'll kick it off. First of all, I think it is a big deal because they were coming into the season with high hopes. Kristaps looks like he's on another planet right now. Like, where is he? He's not doing anything. Luka's playing great still, but that's about the only one. They're not as deep of a team as everybody thinks. Their depth really, like their bench really is not that good. And I just think if Luka, it's on him now to carry the team. And Porzingis is supposed to be that second guy. And if he's not doing anything, you kind of put Luka in a very difficult position to, create wins and have a winning basketball team. So I think they need to get a few more guys, especially, coming in on in the rotation from the bench to help out a little bit. Because once Luka comes out, they're screwed. So I think it is a big deal, and they're going to keep losing games if they don't do something about this and figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. When there comes a point in time when you look at the standings and you're behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, whose only real player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, there's a problem. There's something going on. And
Don't disrespect my guy Lou Dort like that.
All right, Lou Dort's nice, but still though, bro, come on. And it's frustrating because they made that trade for Josh Richardson last season and they got rid of Seth Curry. I thought he was going to be really good for them. He's done absolutely nothing for that team, and it's just trickled down. They miss his shooting. They're just not the same team. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you what the problem is. They're just not the same. So I think it's a big deal, and they need to figure it out because that Western Conference is way too competitive to fall this far behind and even have a shot at making the playoffs. So they need to figure it out fast.
Funny you bring up Seth Curry because he's actually doing so well with the 76ers.
He's perfect for them.
He fits so well. They needed a three-point shooter.
Yeah.
I said that when we were talking a little earlier in the season, we were talking about where James Harden should go. And I said I liked him at the 76ers because they could just dish him the ball at the three.
He's the upgrade of Danny Green. He's
But,
he's better Danny Green, and they
I
have
would have
both.
liked that if they traded Simmons. That would have been a good trade for them if they traded Simmons for James Harden, but like that wasn't going to happen.
But that I think it. But going back to the original question, I think it's kind of a big deal. I mean, just going off of 17 missed shots and no points. I mean, you're not Kobe. That was my guess, Kobe, because he had all those air balls that one game and then still came back the next game all confidence. You're not Kobe, so I wouldn't expect to come back very very strong the next game after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge deal. I mean, this is a team that made the playoffs without much of a problem last year, and they nearly took down the Clippers in the first round. So the expectations coming into the season with everybody healthy, and the only team that's worse than you in the Western Conference is the Timberwolves.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean that's just embarrassing.
For you guys that don't know, I am a Timberwolves fan.
Yeah,
I took it.
It's pretty ugly there down in Dallas.
Save the draft pick.
This next one that I got is not much of a big deal, no big deal, kind of a debate topic that I have. After Sunday night's football game, who do you guys think is the better quarterback tight end duo? Is it Tom Brady and Gronk, or is it Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce? Max, we'll start back off with you.
Wait, is this like all time or right now?
Right now.
I wonder what he's gonna say.
I'm gonna have to go with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. I mean, I feel like it's not arguable with the amount of Super Bowl success that they've had together at this point.
But he said right now. You still think even right now?
Oh, right now, right this second, yes, because they whipped the Chiefs' ass yesterday, and Gronkowski was a huge part of that. And Kelce played less of a factor than Gronk did, I think.
Kelce had more receptions and receiving yards.
Yeah, but he didn't have any tutties, not where it mattered. So they held him out.
One was a dump off touchdown, so I won't give you credit for that one.
It was a screenplay.
That was a dump off. What's the screenplay? I don't remember. Could be remembering it wrong.
It's a design screenplay.
I don't remember it being a screen. I remember it just being like a dump off to this guy, and he goes, "Oh, there he is in the end zone." It's like, oh, okay.
No, it was
a 99-yard touchdown and a 1-yard touchdown both yield 6 points. So
that's true.
No, I
agree. But I can score that.
It's not a dump off. It's a good play.
The second one was legit.
If it was a dump off, they do it every time and it would work. But guess what? Not every.
That's what the Chiefs usually do. They run that pitch play to Tyreek Hill and they usually get touchdowns out of it.
Yep, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
But to go back to Tyler's question, I'm gonna say Kelce. I like Kelce and Mahomes. If you ask me right now who I wanted, I would probably say Mahomes and Kelce, just because I think they got an expiration date on Gronk and Brady. I don't think it's going much longer, to be honest.
Well, yeah,
Gronk and Kelce are the same age. I know Gronk's had like 4 times as many injuries, but just saying.
Gronk's losing it. That guy's insane. He's going insane. Like, he can barely even form a sentence anymore.
Are you really going insane if you already were insane?
It's true. I mean,
very good point.
It's a very good point. But yeah. I don't know. I like Kelce. I'm not a football person. I'll be the first to admit that. But watching Kelce and watching Gronk in two different games, and I just like Kelce better personally. So I would take them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hear you 100%. I'm just probably a little biased too.
A little bit. It's all right. It's all right. Listen, I just sat here for like 5 minutes and talked about how the Seton Hall is going to finish third in the Big East, and they'll probably finish like 7th.
Back to Tyler's question, though. Right now, I'd have to go with obviously yesterday in the Super Bowl, Gronk and Brady were better, but throughout the last few regular seasons, it's definitely been Mahomes and Kelce. So for that reason, I think that's obvious. So for that reason, I'm going to go with them.
And just to add, I think all time, I think Mahomes and Kelce will finish.
Like, if we're going right now of all time, it's Brady and Gronk, but eventually.
No, I think right now all time it's Brady and Gronk. But if we're talking all time in like 5 years, I think it very well could be Kelce.
Yeah, they're going to make a couple more Super Bowls together.
If you look back at Gronk, though, like with that 17 touchdown season, he was one of the most like elite just players of all time.
Absolutely, that was a crazy season.
And Kelce's amazing, and like, I mean, Kelce might like Kelce will make the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So, but I don't
First
know.
ballot.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think all time it'd be hard for me to argue against Gronk and Brady all time.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just talking tight ends, I think you got to give it to Gronk just because he can block. And like that's like he's a great
Gronk's a great blocker. That's true.
and the fact like Kelsey can block, but he's not like
Not nearly on the same level
Yeah.
though.
right.
I think Gronk is just such a dynamic player. The fact that you said he can block and he has speed, and he can just run through people, like a lot better than Travis Kelce can. So I think right now, I'll give it to Brady and Gronk that they weren't synced up because they haven't been playing together for a couple years. Yeah, they got a little bit more of this, and then they can easily pass Mahomes and Kelsey, and I think all time it's still going to end up being Brady and Gronk. But that's just me. And then so I'll end our little segment with this because I'm sure this will ruffle some feathers and stir the pot a little bit of discussion. But Trevor Bauer, kind of overshadowed by Super Bowl weekend, signed with the Dodgers. Now, I know it's hypocritical of me saying this as a Yankee fan, but the rich have gotten richer, and the Dodgers are now growing exponentially in their odds to win another World Series title. Big deal or no big deal that Trevor Bauer has signed with the Dodgers? Evan, I'll start with you.
Massive deal. Bauer is one of the, after, he won the Cy Young, former Cy Young. Whenever a Cy Young pitcher goes somewhere, it's a big deal. And he's looking to be one of the best arms in the league this year. Let's see what happens. I mean, he's not people think he's like super proven. He had two like really good seasons, but throughout his career, he has had a few hiccups, but I think Bauer is really good. And I saw with his contract, he's obviously not going the long-term route. He's getting a lot of money for a short amount of time. He can opt out after next year if he wants to. So goes to think, is this the new wave where people are just going to be, the great players are just going to jump from contender to contender, or is there something to be said for wanting to, stay in one team and build something special? But then you see when you sign these big contracts, you got players like Pujols and Harper, who at the end of it, Harper, it probably will happen by the time it's done. He's going to be old, and these guys are old, and they become liabilities to their teams while still eating a ridiculous amount of contract and a ridiculous amount of money. So something to think about for sure. I'll pass it over to Max.
I mean, like you said, when you get a former Cy Young winner, I mean, it's a huge deal. And I mean, the Dodgers obviously already a stacked team, so getting another pitcher like that, very huge for them. So I'll say it's a big deal. Big deal for the Dodgers, and hopefully they can, with this, make another run at it next year.
I think it's a huge deal, obviously. Like the other guy said, Cy Young at any point, any time in his career, if he's a former Cy Young pitcher, you definitely want him on your team. I think the contract is going to be really interesting because the Dodgers only have probably 1 year of Trevor Bauer. And if he has another year like he had last year, he's going to sign a different contract somewhere else. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if he stays or if he goes. And he's definitely not staying for at most 2 years because that third year is like $20 million of contract. He'd rather just leave and go somewhere else. So the window for the Dodgers is probably 2 years. So if they don't win it this year, they need to win it next year or they're going to lose some guys. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think Trevor Bauer is a great pitcher, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, and I'm kind of being real. I don't think this is as big a deal as you guys are making it out to be. Trevor Bauer is a great pitcher, like I've said. You have to give the fact that he won the Cy Young last year a little bit of credit to the fact that the MLB season was only 60 games.
And even then, he pitched like 2 games against the Pirates and 2 games against the Tigers and 1 against the Cubs. Like his competition was great.
A division that was very, very bad in the NL Central. So you have to kind of take that into account. You also have to take into account that he did make a bet with one of his former teammates, I think, that he would never sign a multi-year contract, or he would always have the option of signing with a new team every single year that he played.
Do you know what the punishment was if he did? Do you remember? Because I know it if you don't remember. It's funny.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
It's he gets hit in the nuts with a wiffle ball bat if he signs a multi-year contract.
Right. So Trevor Bauer, I'm going to sign one deal from here out because I don't want that to happen. But I think that's the reason why he took the opt out after 1 year. I think that's the reason why he needed that in his contract. And the Dodgers are going to be good no matter what. The Dodgers are probably going to, they'll probably make it to the NLCS. It'll probably be Dodgers Padres.
You can hope. That's what we want, right?
And I mean, I don't think this move is going to make the Dodgers that much better. I mean, their pitching staff is already really good. I don't know if it puts them that much more over the top than they already are. So I don't think it's a huge deal.
I mean, I could see them making the NLCS, and then I could also see teams like the Cardinals making the NLCS. They always find a way to kind of sneak in. It's really odd. But see what happens.
All righty, guys. So got into a lot today, lot to digest there, but I had a great time. I know Max did as well, guys. Looking forward to doing a collab again in the future. Washed Up Sports Podcast, Couch Potato Show. So follow and subscribe the Instagrams and YouTubes. We're at a Washed Up Sports Pod. You guys, what's your IG?
At the Couch Potato Show on Instagram and YouTube.
You heard it. Follow it, subscribe it, like it, comment it.
Everything.
Share it.
We appreciate all support. So, yeah, pleasure, guys, and take care. We will see you guys soon.
Yes,
All the links will be in the bio. Get that done.
Adios, boys.